Hey guys, Buff Game Bet today, bringing you another video, and today we're going to be covering something a little bit different. I'm going to be going over what I think are the most aesthetically pleasing AK builds we can do in Modern Warfare. So I'm going to build a couple different AKs from scratch here. You can see them on screen now, just showcasing them in-game with the inspection, showing how they fire, and just different attributes of the weapon itself. Really going for just overall aesthetics here. Not really performance. Again, this is mainly for Modern Warfare multiplayer, or maybe even Warzone if you wanted. A lot of these I have used in Warzone pretty effectively too, but I wanted to backtrack and take a look at the AK because it is really my favorite weapon platform that's out there. And even though we don't have a modern AK in-game, we have some attachments on this that can make it almost up to spec with a modern type AK, at least up to the 100 series of AKs, and we can make some pretty interesting builds here. So I want to go through, look at these, and go through my favorite AK builds that are the aesthetically pleasing AK builds here. So we'll go through the top 5. So let's go ahead and back out and we'll jump right into it. And first off here, we'll just go back out. I'll show you, you can see there Bale, and I have a nice build here that we'll go over here, but he looks really, really nice with that Spetsnaz Bale skin and my Zenico AKS-74U that we'll look at here in a second. So let's go ahead and look at the weapons. And first off, we're going to start with an AK-103M. So with this one, again, we're using a few different blueprints here, mixing and matching with the fragrance smithing. So at base, you can see I'm using the Tim Hoda blueprint. So first off, if I look at all my blueprints for the AK, I have 18 of them. So I think next to the M4, I have 21, so the AK and the M4 are my two, the most blueprints I have in game. Some of those are custom builds as well, I believe. But you can see that Tim Hoda, I believe, came with the FSB bundle back in the end of Season 6, or maybe it was Season 7, or Season 6 was the last season we had, right? So I believe it was in Season 6 is when it came, or maybe the end of Season 5. But here's the Tim Hoda blueprint. So that's what we're going to be using here at base. If you have this, this is part of the FSB bundle. You don't necessarily need this build. However, it would be good to have this blueprint if you do. But really, the attachments here, you can build with any of the AKs. So first off, we're going to go with the muzzle. Now, this is really more of a personal preference. I wanted to use something that was that old school AK muzzle brake on this. And we really have two blueprints with this, being the Revolution and I believe the Gilded Arms. Now, the Revolution came, I believe, back in season, I want to say season 1 or 2 for a Farah bundle. And it gave us an actual AK-74 with the right gas block on it, that 90-degree gas block. But you can see this gives us that fat, old AK-style muzzle brake on there, which is pretty interesting to see. So I wanted to throw that on, mainly just for, like we said, aesthetics. Now for the barrel, we're going to go with the Spetsnaz Elite barrel. This gives us that Midwest Industries M-Lock handguard, replacing the wooden handguard for the AK in this case, or depending on the blueprint here, it would be a polymer handguard. So we're going to use just the base steel curtain handguard on this, and we'll go ahead and back out. Skip out on the laser. Now for the attachment for the optic, I'm going to actually run a candid hybrid. So this is going to allow us to toggle from 3.25 to that side candid 45-degree mounted red dot optic. So it's going to give us that 3.25 zoom level with that 1x red dot optic on the candid 45 mount. The only con here is the ADS-B, but again, it adds a nice, cool look to the AK, which I really like. I like to run similar builds in Tarkov, being able to swap from my zoomed optic to my red dot, which is typically mounted on the front of the handguard with a cannon mount on the side, really right on the right-hand side here, right above almost where you see the Merc foregrip there. That top Picatinny rail would have a candid attachment where the red dot would be mounted on the side. In this case, it's mounted on the back as part of the optic itself, but it would be cool to see if it was mounted up front. But that's probably asking a little bit too much for Call of Duty. But I think it looks really neat. We'll skip out on the stock. And all the other attachments here, we're going to go ahead and we'll look at the final attachment being the Merc foregrip. So this is going to really be a necessity on the Modern Warfare AKs, no matter what ammunition type you use. The recoil on these weapons is just very, 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 very heavy. So you really need the Merc foregrip to control that recoil. For some reason, the Merc works much better, especially for vertical recoil, than the Ranger, which I would think it would be different. But for some reason, with these 7.62x39 and even the 7.62x31 weapons, the Merc foregrip works best. So we'll go ahead and put that on. Now you really have, with this one, I left one free attachment, so you could definitely go ahead and put on some sort of optic, or excuse me, a laser. Probably a tack laser would be something that I really like with the AK, especially since this particular build is in 7.62x39. But you go ahead and put a tack laser on there, It'll give us that ADS speed as well as some other benefits there, the aiming stability. The laser will just be visible, but you can see that's a really nice looking AK build. It's more, you can see the polymer style buttstock, pistol grip. We replaced the polymer handguard with the Midwest Industries M-Lock, and here we have technically an AK-103M, minus some few things with the AKs we've got over here in game. Obviously, we don't have the 90-degree gas block is really the only thing missing for this, and we have a ribbed dust cover. But other than that, pretty spot on to an AK-103M. So let's go ahead and we will back out and we'll move on to the next build here, is going to be the AK-74M. So very similar to what we just built with the AK-103, plus and minus some attachments. Now here I'm using a specific camo, being this Spetsnaz Red, or in game I believe it's called the, let's see here, it's called the Autumn Dazzle. But again, this is really a Spetsnaz Red type camo. It looks really nice on these weapons. For some reason, I just really am always going to this weapon for my AKs when I do put camos on them. Typically I don't, but it's either going to be this or a woodland type build. So let's go ahead and look at it. So here I'm going to be using my base blueprint, I believe is going to be just a steel curtain I used for this one. So again, we're going to use the same barrel, being that Spetsnaz Elite barrel, giving us that M-Lock handguard from Midwest Industries. And you can see, obviously, it's got the Picatinis on the top and bottom, and then it has M-Locks on the left and right-hand side there as well. So we'll go ahead and back out. Now for the optic, I'm going to trying to make the AK look more Western. A lot of the Spetsnaz GRU units use EOTechs nowadays, and Russian has their own versions of the EOTechs, especially knockoff versions as well. So the hollow is based on the EOTech. It looks really aesthetically pleasing on the Russian weapons. I've always been a big fan of the Western optics on the Russian AKs. So obviously this will give us the precision sight picture, slow down our ADS speed a little bit, but it looks very aesthetically pleasing on this AK. So we'll go ahead and back out. Now for the stock option here, we're going to use the AK-12 style buttstock, and that came with the FSB bundle, again with that Timhoda blueprint. So this is going to be the FSS close quarter stock, and you can see we're going to need the Timhoda blueprint. All the other ones you can see look not that AK-12 buttstock style. So this is the only one with this AK-12 type buttstock, or as you may recognize it from the M4 as well. It looks very similar. So this is really the closest we can get to that, really that AK-12 RPK-16 style buttstock on this weapon. Again, it's going to add the ADS speed, and the con here being the aiming stability. But again, it looks very aesthetically nice on this weapon. So we'll skip the other two attachments here. We're going to go with the ammunition. Now, because this is going to be really an AK-74M build, I'm going to want the 545x39 ammo conversion on this weapon. So we'll take it from the 7.62 to the 5.45. That's going to increase the fire rate, and the recoil control is going to be much easier. The cons are going to be the damage and the range, because we're firing a lighter and smaller round. So keep that in mind there. And the blueprint that I'm running with this is going to be the Black Cat blueprint for the 5.45x39 magazine. Again, the max capacity here on the AK-47 in game is going to be only 30 rounds, unfortunately. Wish we had a 45 or even a 60-round quad stack casket would be nice, but we'll make that work. And then the next attachment, like I said, is going to be that Merc foregrip, which is a necessity on all AKs just because of the kick. Even with the 5.5 rounds on this, the recoil is still very, very strong. If you run it with a Ranger foregrip, I don't feel you're going to get the max recoil control that you can when you use a Merc. Obviously, you'll save on the mobility. The Merc foregrip, you're going to move a little bit slower. But again, you really need to be able to get shots on target, and even the 5.45 kicks a little bit too much in this game. But again, this is really an AK-74M for the most part. The only difference, again, we don't have that 90-degree style gas block that we saw in the 74 series and all the AKs after 1974. We still have an AK-M style gas block there. But that is our AK-74M. Let's go ahead now and we'll back out. And next up, we'll take a look at the Zenico AKS-74U. So again, I try to go with a Zenico AKS here. Unfortunately, this is really the closest we can get, but really what I'm going to use here is the 8.1 compact barrel is going to give us really, again, that shorter barrel for the AKS-74U, that shortest barrel length available on the AK here in game. And again, the blueprint we're going to use for this is going to be the, we'll go ahead in here, it's going to be the collateral blueprint, just because I was looking for something that was black and had some sort of rivets in it, and made it look almost like it had a Zenico lower on the handguard portion of the handguard assembly itself. However, it doesn't. You can see, I wish if I go ahead and back out quick and I deselect this, you can see if we just use the base AK barrel length, and we have the grip, the Merc foregrip there. Any grip on the weapon is going to replace that polymer or wooden lower part of the handguard. And you can see it's replaced there with something with, it has the Picatinis. It's a different style handguard at the bottom there to give it a Picatinny to allow the railed Picatinny attachment for the grip itself. Now, I was hoping with the 8.1 style barrel here it would do the same. However, unfortunately, it doesn't. It just gives us the base that comes with there. And when you put a grip on, it's going to just throw a Picatinny on the bottom, which honestly, good enough. This, I think the collateral blueprint gets close enough to that Zeneco style AKS-74U that I'm really trying to build here. And it actually looks really, really nice, to be honest, in game. I was actually shocked when I picked this thing up and was playing with it a little bit in privates. It looked really fun to use. First off, it was fun to use, and it looked aesthetically pleasing. So we'll use that collateral blueprint for the 8.1-inch compact. Skip out on the laser. Again, we're going to run on the EOTech for that westernized look, especially for a Zeneco type AK. And then for the stock option, I went, instead of the Timhoda blueprint, I just went with the base steel curtain buttstock on this. Again, same pros and cons for the FSS close quarter that you get with any of the blueprints. I just went with this one over the Timhoda, or even something like a skeleton stock to give it more of that Zeneco style look that I was going for. Next up, again, we're going to go with the 5.45x39 rounds. This time I'm running with the duly devoted blueprint for that mag instead of the Black Hat. And again, the Merc foregrip, a necessity, especially with this shorter build of the weapon. I feel like this is going to be needed all the more because you have increased recoil with that 8.1-inch compact barrel. You can see the cons are going to be the bullet velocity and the recoil control of the weapon. So you really want to get maximum recoil. But again, very aesthetically pleasing weapon. It looks really good just looking at it here in the gunsmith, and then when you have it in game and you're shooting, doing the inspect, it looks really nice. And just the way your soldier holds the weapon, I think looks really cool as well. A lot of fun to use, a lot of fun just to stand there and fire this thing. Big fan of this weapon. I'm probably going to bring this into Warzone even without the suppressor just because it's that cool looking and fun to use. So that's our AKS-74U, the Zeneco build. We'll go ahead and back out, and now we'll cover the the AK-74N. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and throw on a monolithic suppressor. So the monolithic suppressor is going to be that PBS-4 style suppressor. It's going to give us that sound suppression, damage at range increase for this weapon. And again, this is that Russian style suppressor, the PBS-4. So it's fitting for the AKs. The regular suppressor is going to give you a PBS-1, so both are pretty fitting for this weapon as well. But again, for this one, we'll go with that PBS-4 to give us the pros and cons that we want. Really, this is a build I use in Warzone, so that's why I'm going to throw that on there. Now, the barrel, I'm going to go with the Romanian barrel. However, the blueprint you want here is the Resonant blueprint. It's going to take you from the base RPK style barrel and handguard assembly to the what looks more so like a Alpha type AK build, or even a CSV style handguard. So it's going to look really nice, give us a more aesthetically pleasing type handguard, minus the orange wires there that come with the Resonant blueprint. Unfortunately, you can't get those to turn black or any type of camouflage to hide them, so you're just going to have to deal with them, unfortunately. But other than that, it looks really good outright. The pros here for the Romanian barrel are going to be the damage at range, the bullet velocity, and the recoil control. So a lot of pros with this. The good thing is you also get that built-in foregrip on the weapon, which is going to save you an attachment, which is really key with this. The AK is a hard weapon to build the best aesthetically pleasing type weapon while utilizing all the attachments most effectively and building still a good weapon. So with this one, you can save out on one attachment. Cons here, ADS speed and movement speed, but again, that's because we have the 23-inch barrel on there, which is fine. You can see the underbarrel attachment is blocked because it comes as part of it. So that's good. We get 2 for 1. We'll skip out on the laser. Now for the optic, I'm going to go with the monocle reflex sight, or that OKP optic here. Again, this is a Russian optic, just going to give us that precision sight picture. I believe it's about a 1-time zoom, and it's going to be a nice clean dot reticle here. You can see if we look at the reticle, it's just going to be a red dot. Very nice and clean. You have a good window and field of view while looking through the reticle. Now for the stock, again, I'm going to go with the FSS close quarter stock, and we're going to use the Timhoda blueprint there, again, to give us that AK-12 style butt stock that we see on the modern Russian weapons. Skip out on the other 2 attachments here. We're going to go again with the 5.45 magazine to give us that fire rate and the recoil control. Really, this is going to be probably the most accurate AK you can build, just because we have the best barrel on there for recoil control, and we have the 5.45 rounds, which is going to really reduce the recoil of the weapon. So this is our AK-74 AK-74MN or our AK-74N, really whichever variant you want to call it. The only thing missing here is the rail dust cover, but again, I think it looks really nice. You can almost, if we look at it really in the inspects here, the right-hand side of the weapon looks so similar to a really nice modernized AK. Just those orange wires kind of take you out of it a little bit, but I like to imagine it's really just wire management as part of the lasers or something like that. Really nice build here. This one is, again, very effective in Warzone. One of my preferred Modern Warfare style AKs to run in Warzone. A lot of fun to use, especially with the 5.45 rounds. Even though you only have 30 rounds, if you can manage that ammo, it's very, very effective. So that's our AK-74M. Go ahead and back out. And the last one we'll cover is going to be another AK-MN build. So this is really an AK-MN or just really another 103 type build, depending on how technical you want to get with it. This one, again, we're going to use a Tim Hoda blueprint for this one. You can see it's a very nice looking weapon overall. So first off, for the muzzle, instead of the PBS4, which we went with the last build, we're going to go with the PBS1 or the tactical suppressor. So this is just going to give us the sound suppression. The cons going to be the ADS speed and the aim walking steadiness. So we'll go ahead and select that. Again, we're going to go with the Spetsnaz Elite barrel for that Midwest Industries M-Lock. And again, the blueprint we're going to want here is the Tim Hoda to give us that different colored or camoed handguard for that Midwest Industries M-Lock. We'll skip out on the laser. Again, we're going to go with the EOTech for the optic. Again, this is going to be, whoops, here we go. This is going to be the, if I back up, again, the optic blueprint that comes with a Tim Hoda again. So this build in general is all Tim Hoda plus and minus some parts. But again, the optic, the EOTech, you can see there it says XRK on it. And you can see the color schema matches that of the handguard. So we'll go ahead and select that. Now, again, the buttstock, we're going to use that Tim Hoda buttstock to give us the AK-12 style buttstock on there. And we'll skip the perk, the rear grip. We're going to leave the ammunition at base, and that'll give us the 7.62 by 39 millimeter. And again, we're going to throw the Merc foregrip on there. So again, this is a really nice, aesthetically pleasing AK. Really just a different variant of the 103 we did at the top of this list. However, we're using a suppressor here, and we're using a different buttstock on there as well versus the base polymer buttstock that we used on the first one. Plus the color difference with that black and the Tim Hoda color schema on there looks really nice. That off-on color schema for this AK, I think it looks really nice, especially in game where you're using it, inspecting it, and firing it. It just looks really nice and, again, aesthetically pleasing weapon to look at. So that's our list. Those are my top 5 aesthetically pleasing AK-47 builds to utilize here in Modern Warfare and Warzone using the Modern Warfare AK. I think out of this list, again, my favorite is probably going to have to be that Zenico style AK-74U. I don't know why, just something about it just was really fun to see when you're using it in the first-person perspective and inspecting it. It just is nice, short, compact, and a lot of fun to use. So these are the top 5 aesthetically pleasing AKs from Modern Warfare. Let me know down below what your favorite builds are. If you have something I didn't think of here. Again, I have some more on the list. However, I just want to go over the top 5 today. But let me know down below what you guys think. What are your favorite AK builds for Modern Warfare? And until next time, this is Buckner Gaming, out.